Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Pit Lane Yappers. This is our first podcast episode, and we're going to be talking about the Bahrain Grand Prix. So, to get you all introduced to ourselves, we'll do a round of who we are. So, my name is Lex, and I got into F1 because I saw Harry Styles wearing a Daniel Ricciardo t-shirt and decided that it would change my life forever.
I'm Mox. I got into F1 because during COVID I was really bored one day and my friend told me to watch Drive to Survive. And Daniel Ricciardo came up and said, "Hello, I'm Daniel Ricciardo and I'm a car mechanic." And I was like, I'm gonna support this driver through thick and thin.
My name is Taylor, and I got into F1 from my boyfriend. And then saw a Lando Norris video, and it was actually the Lando and Daniel press conference, where Daniel asked if he got pubes, and I was like, yeah, this is the sport that I'm gonna support. So there you go.
I'm Rosie, and I got into F1 because Mox kept sending me Charles Leclerc edits on TikTok, and she knows that I love a brunette man. But now I am a Oscar fan as well.
My name is Haley. I got into F1, honestly, kind of embarrassing. I saw the F1 game on the the PlayStation, and I was like, what is that? And then my mom started watching Drive to Survive, and I was like, what are you watching? I want to watch that. So really, I got into F1 because I'm nosy. That's it.
Okay, and I'm Reagan, and I got into F1 because of back in like 2020 during lockdown and everything. Noel Miller and Will and E were doing a lot of streams and videos with Lando Norris, and I was like, that dude's funny. And I had seen F1 from the outskirts like all throughout the years growing up or whatever, so I was like, you know what, I'll give it a shot.
The person that I really didn't believe in was Rosie.
Maureen?
Where do we even begin?
I had so much hope. Ferrari front row from the start.
What a joke. I had so much faith in Aston Martin. I'm not gonna lie. I was like, Aston Martin, they're not talking about their car. They're gonna do really well. What a joke. I really had faith.
As long as McLaren finished top 10, I was...
Yeah, listen, because I was watching it while
as long as Logan
work.
Sargent finished, I'm okay.
The whole time at work, I was like, well, Oscar's still in the top 10, so it's fine. He's been there the whole time. It's fine.
I literally was like, Fernando Alonso, 33rd win. 33rd win. Let's go.
Okay, there was a stat that Hulkenberg has not scored points at all in 18 races. So
honestly,
he kind of slayed yesterday.
Honestly,
Okay,
like,
but-
good for him. Good for him for staying in the sport with no
His
points.
one lap pace
Real.
is actually like good, and like he qualifies well. It just is like everybody
qualified
else
10th.
is better.
Yeah, he qualified 10th in Bahrain.
Oh,
It
really?
ended up being 19 races. He didn't score a point this race.
Realistically, he's not a
But,
bad
like-
driver because there's only 20 of them. It's just
Yeah.
that everybody
Right.
else is better. I feel like we should
Mhm.
put respect on Lance's name.
Yeah. Lance is actually
Absolutely.
like also like everyone's like, oh, money driver, money driver. This
They're all money
entire
drivers.
this entire sport is money driver.
Yes.
They
The
literally
only
had to
reason
pay
is
for their
Lance's
F2
dad is
spot.
part of the team. So
But honestly, so is Max's.
real,
He just
unfortunately.
doesn't own it. So
Okay, do we want to go to quali?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel
I
like we
have-
should talk about Yuki out qualifying Daniel.
as a Yuki stan, hell yeah.
Sorry, Marks.
No, but I also think that Yuki is quite Yuki's quite impressive.
I think he's
just
definitely feeling the weight of having Daniel behind him and the talks of him going to Red Bull. He's really trying to like.
Mhm.
I think also-
it's so like horrible that Yuki's like clearly improved so much. He's been
Mhm.
driving for Red Bull's sister team for 3 years, and never once has his name come up in consideration for the second Red Bull seat.
But I think that goes to show how cutthroat Red Bull is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Specifically.
I think also Yuki has done well for AlphaTauri now, Visa, Cash App, whatever it is. But compared to like the Red Bull stats, they never put him in a real Red
Mhm.
like they put Daniel Ricciardo in Max Verstappen's car for the tire
Mhm.
test at Silverstone and said, have at it, let's see what you did. And he matched Max perfectly.
Mhm.
and sometimes he was faster than Max. Like, and they haven't done that to Yuki, so they actually have no idea how Yuki stacks up next to Max and Perez in a matching car. Like, they know Daniel
Yeah.
Ricciardo can drive with Max because he did it before and he's done it at Silverstone. Like, they know. Whereas Yuki,
Mhm.
I feel bad for Yuki because they're not giving him a chance. But I really
Yeah.
think Yuki could do well at Red Bull, but I also think he is still learning. But I think put him in Red Bull. Let's see what happens.
Well, yeah,
I think
and
honestly
also,
for Yuki, it's like a mental thing. Like he's
Mm.
not. I don't think he's mentally ready to be in a Red Bull seat.
Nobody can catch up to Max. His current teammate was 26 seconds behind him.
Yeah.
Like, I think they need to really look at that. To be completely honest, I don't want Yuki in that second seat
Mm-mm.
because he hasn't really had a career of his own that's like,
Mhm.
oh my gosh, she's done this and done this. Like, Daniel has had a career of his own. He has accomplishments. He's won races. Where, like, if you look at like when they brought in Alex Albon and Pierre Gasly, like they completely wiped out in the Red Bull second seat, and they like that's what everybody knows them for.
same for Checo as well, though, to be honest,
Mhm.
because he's had spectacular races. They've put him in that second Red Bull seat for 3 years, and it's all, oh, Perez is so bad, Perez is so bad. But like, if Checo wasn't defending Max in like 2021, then would he have, you know?
I think it's also like it's at the point where I feel like Daniel's he might be the only one that's like okay with being a second driver to Max. Everyone
Yeah.
else that is in talks with going to the second Red Bull seat is still wanting to fight, and they're not going to be able to do that behind Max. So I think like Daniel's at a point in his career where he's accepted that and
I
still
think-
wants to be on the team.
Yeah, I think Daniel wants to win. I think everybody wants to win, but I think Daniel has the mentality of like, if Max loses, DNFs, whatever, I can step up and take that win, but I also can defend Max. And I think
Mhm.
it's kind of like the Carlos Lando Singapore 2023, where like Carlos was like, it's on purpose. I'm bringing Lando with me. Like Monza 21, Max was like, I will defend Daniel if
Yeah.
he gets in front of me. And he did. Like, I
Yeah.
think they have a dynamic that like nobody else on the grid has except maybe Carlos and Lando. And I think Red Bull's also seeing that because literally Max said that on live television saying, I'll defend Daniel if he gets in front of me. Like, they know they can
Yeah.
work.
I want
Okay.
Oscar and
Alrighty
Logan
then.
in competing cars.
No, I cannot have Logan and Oscar being teammates. If that's
No,
Mercedes,
not
I'm done.
teammates.
No.
Not teammates. I mean
No.
like competing
Refuse.
fields.
Yeah, no, that would terrible. That would be
I don't
ultimate
want that.
Mercedes, and I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
have that.
You've already
it'd
got
be
them
like
drifting.
watching
What do you mean?
Mercedes from the start.
Real, but I don't want that.
I don't want that.
I
I
don't want it either.
refuse.
No.
Also,
I feel like he would
can I
enjoy
just say, like,
that.
qualifying when everybody was outplacing Max, I was like, oh my gosh, this season's gonna be so good. Like,
And then he did
it's gonna
one
be
lap.
competitive. He did one lap, and I was
You
like,
thought-
never mind.
You
I
thought
spoke way
I
too
think
soon.
they should bring in a feature where if Max is like more than 5 seconds ahead of like the
He gets his
second
own
car,
podium.
Max's car just stops.
It just shuts off. Let a Ferrari fix it.
I think also though, going back to Yuki qualifying over Daniel, I think Daniel, it's kind of like Kimi Antonelli. Like, Daniel has it in his head he has to do well to get that seat. And I think he could possibly psych himself out.
Can we just
Mhm.
say put that pressure on a boy who should be finding X in a triangle is insane.
Just let him drive. Like,
No, they're literally putting so much pressure on him, and he hasn't even done a full F2 season yet. He has done one
Yeah.
F2 race. Hasn't even done a full season.
He skipped
know?
F3.
And
Yeah.
he skipped
Yeah.
F3. So like, please see what he
Okay,
does in an
Max.
F2 car before. And I think that's the problem. I think
They're calling him the next
they want
Max
him.
Verstappen.
Yeah.
Like they need to chill.
And Max
Yeah.
was like, hi, I'm 26.
do you know what actually was really not upsetting, but I was kind of frustrated with? Logan sounded so confident after testing. He was like, we're doing so well. Like, this car is so good. And then, like, qualifying, he just struggled. And it wasn't even his fault.
It's not his
Exactly.
fault.
Yeah, that's
it
the
was
good
that
thing
brake
though, is that
and
it
his
wasn't
steering
his
wheel.
fault.
Yeah, the good thing is Williams also said it wasn't his fault. So, like,
Mhm.
anybody saying, oh, Logan's just a bad driver, like,
Yes.
Not.
I have receipts that James Vowles himself said, like, this was on us. This was not on the drivers.
And you could clearly see watching
grid dad,
not
James
only
Fells.
quali,
Yeah,
but
the
like
onboard.
Yeah.
I
Oh
was
my
watching his
God.
onboard the entire time through both the race and qualifying.
he
And
was
The
doing so
numbers
well.
he
just,
was
like,
doing very
jumped.
well. And every
His steering wheel got
conversation he'd
freaking
have.
possessed. I
and you
don't
could
know
just
how
hear
else to
it.
say it other than
I don't think they've figured out the new steering wheel
No.
Yeah,
yet because
once
it
it
took
was
so
there.
long to get here that it's like not
Put
the
it
time.
back in the chassis. Just put it back in the
Yes.
chassis. I'm
yeah,
done.
just do it
Bring it back.
next season. Just bring it back next season, please. Like
Play around with it this season.
Yeah.
Not like actually in the actual car, but like play around with working on it. And
you could also do it in Q1, 2, 3, not Q, FP1, 2, and 3.
yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Figure it out and then bring back the old thing. I'd like also like the Mercedes WhatsApp button. What?
Have we
Are
discovered
we
what that
texting
is?
while driving?
I think
That's
it's
the radio
just
button.
I know it's
it's
the
the
radio,
radio,
but like
It's the
yeah.
radio button, but like,
it's because they're sponsored by WhatsApp.
yeah.
and I get that. I totally get that, but I don't know. I feel like there's a
WhatsApp is
line between WhatsApp
insecure.
and radio. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah,
Can we talk
WhatsApp
about
is
how
not
cool the
radio.
McLaren
I feel
screens
like
are?
we need to talk about George.
Yeah.
We have to.
First of all,
My
his quali was really good until they were like, yeah, the engine is really messing up for you.
Mhm.
well, George, my little pookie, Princess George, big sleigh.
Welcome
my
back,
royal
Princess Diana.
Um, he was doing so well, and he did so much better than Lewis. It's crazy.
I think
Which-
so. Also, if you watch the interviews of Lewis, he's like, I put my 2 weeks in, I'm
He's-
done.
yeah,
I'm
he's
not
checked
supporting
out.
this.
Lewis is
this
like, I
office.
don't give a fuck. But
But I think
Lewis's seat also broke, so
That
also,
was
how?
nuts.
That's
That
in the
was
race,
crazy.
but how?
All you get is the radio of my seat is broken. Everyone,
Yeah.
how?
And they're like,
What
copy
happened?
How
it.
does that come about?
if you saw the post-race interview, he said he was going into, I forgot what turn it was, but he was going into a turn, and then his left butt cheek just fell.
Yeah, it like split.
It like
so
split.
I'm a bit. I feel like I need to look at the seat because I don't understand. Has it broken in half or like
I
what?
think
Yeah,
it,
yeah,
like,
it, like-
slid forward, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, it like split, and so like,
He like, yeah.
His
he
weight
basically,
was,
fell
like-
out. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I also think qualifying, like, I know it's the first qualifying, and we can't really say, like, oh, this person is the first driver, unless you're Max. Max is obviously the first driver. He's the better driver. Get it. Okay, whatever. But from both the qualifying and the race, it seemed like George wanted to win. Like, he was like, we need to
Oh,
figure
yeah.
this out. They're
Yeah.
faster than me. I need to figure it out. Whereas, like, I just feel like Lewis was a little more passive, and I know it's because it's his last time in the team, and he's like, I'm going to Ferrari. Obviously, Mercedes doesn't care about me, whatever. But like, I feel like even with Carlos like was talking to Ferrari and said, like, we have these issues. We need to figure it out. Like, he's leaving
Mhm.
too, and he's still trying to figure out what's wrong because he wants this
Yeah.
team. But I think also the difference is Lewis has a guaranteed seat and Carlos doesn't.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
George, in qualifying and the race, has stepped up. He
Oh,
has
actually,
stepped
I have
up.
a stat. This is Lewis's worst ever starting position in Bahrain ever, and George's best ever. So
Okay, King.
They've
Was it-
definitely made the card for George as well this year, as opposed to Lewis, which is interesting.
it makes
but also,
sense. I mean,
Lewis doesn't give a fuck about Mercedes anymore because they were trying to push him out anyway. So he's like,
Yeah. I noticed this even like last season when I was watching. Like, George is a lot more, I don't want to say like active, but a lot like more interactive during the race. He's like, okay, these tires feel worn. My steering wheel's doing something. Like, my seat feels hot.
Because
I
George,
can't
like
drink.
us,
And
is a yapper.
yeah,
people
and Lewis,
say he's a
like,
complainer, but bitch,
I
welcome
would
to
complain
England.
too. Also, like, he's like, I can't get water from my helmet. I would complain about that too. Like,
Yeah.
you need water to be driving. Like, that's crazy.
And I think it's fair stuff to be complaining about too. Like it's stuff that I feel like if I were an engineer or I was part of Mercedes, I'd want to hear about.
If I was driving at 200 miles an hour for 2 hours, I'd be complaining the whole time.
You don't have your license, so if you're
Exactly.
driving,
I'd
that's
be
a whole
on
other
that button.
issue.
I'm like, oh my god, has anyone seen the new episode of
Yeah.
I support George Russell's rights, but more importantly,
wrongs.
I support his wrongs. God save the
Okay.
king.
Sorry,
Right.
we are
Imagine
getting so off
qualifying.
topic. Martin, can we talk about Aston Martin's qualifying strategy?
They said
Fernando Alonso.
on one lap.
Out alone.
Alonso's like,
Between
you know
the
what?
lap
I
time.
don't even think it was Aston Martin. I think it was actually Alonso being like, I can
Yeah.
do this. Like, put me on
He
this
was
track
put me
alone
out.
and I'll get you. And he was
put me in,
P1.
coach.
Well,
He
we've all
was
seen
P1,
that.
but he
we've all
wasn't
seen
fast
that
enough.
interview with Seb where he's like, where it's like, oh, 2 laps and Seb's like 1 and
One,
that one.
I know
Yeah.
what you're
I'm talking
talking
about
about.
Seb in this podcast.
Shocking. I miss him.
Pork not in kitchen.
Wow.
You
Hold
don't
on.
say.
Well,
Wait,
that
hold on.
was one of my 3-season predictions.
I think it was
Seb
like
was in
all
one.
ours.
So was mine. My one of my season
I was
predictions
gonna say,
is
did
Seb
we
is
all
coming
have
back.
Seb?
And
Yeah.
My season
Haley
predictions
said
are
Seb's
just
coming
silly.
back as a team principal, and Rosie said he's replacing Horner.
Yeah, I said
That's
Seb.
Which
yeah,
would
exactly.
that's anyways qualifying.
Let's talk about the non-spoken elephant in our room, and that is the downfall of Alpine.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You know who's happy about this?
Me.
Everybody.
Everyone.
Fernando and Oscar.
Did you see my season predictions? Did you
Yeah.
see my season prediction?
Reagan had it in the bag in that ranking. Put
I-
Alpine
Listen,
last, and it was
I'm gonna
right.
be honest.
I moved them
I
right after their car launch. I moved them because their faces.
Real.
I was like, something's not right.
the fact that Mick also had the face, Mick was like Mick's like, oh
Yeah.
thank God I'm not in F1. Like
Oh,
Right.
that wet
They
car
was-
is not
You know
doing
who
well
was
either.
surprising? I thought Sauber were surprising.
They were
Which-
surprising in the
Dude,
race.
Joe's race.
for sure.
Joe's race
yeah.
was really
Joe
good.
went up.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
because
He went up in
they started
fantasy. He
16th
went
and
up.
17th.
If
And
if
then-
Carlos didn't get driver of the day, I feel like it could have been Joe.
Well, it was between Carlos, Max
Max and
and
Checo.
Checo.
Which
Which
we
is
always
Everyone's
Everyone's
only
eliminate
supposed to
Max.
top tier teams.
No,
I
literally,
would
can
do
we
what
eliminate
Max
Max?
do.
I personally would have voted George if I wasn't at work because he slayed that race.
Yeah, he did really. He
I
kept,
think I
no,
would've-
but he
I-
kept up with even the engine issues. Like I didn't think it
Yeah.
was that big of a deal, whatever was going on with this car. And then after the fact, him being like, "Oh yeah, the engine was just like overheating, and I couldn't like shift gears." And it was like, "You motherfucker, you stayed like 4th and 5th the whole race."
Yeah.
And he had fluid
think-
come out of his car too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also think I was gonna vote for Lance because he went
Mm.
from literally the back of the grid
yeah
to getting a
Fun.
point.
Back of the
Also,
grid, yeah.
that's your new boy, so
Yeah, real.
Exactly.
The Alpine,
Alpine?
downfall.
Give us a fun fact.
I do have one.
Ugh.
This is the first time that Alpine has been slowest in the grid, like in qualifying, since 2016.
Do you know who they should bring back?
Cyril.
Is it
Cyril.
Cyril.
Yes.
He could do it. I trust that man with my life.
Yeah.
Like also like I think it also like everyone's like, oh, the downfall of Alpine, the downfall. I really think we need to focus on the fact that almost the entire team didn't get fired. They quit.
resigned.
Left.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They
Just
saw the new
last
car and
night.
said, you know what, I don't
Something
want
is
my name
going on
associated
that
with
nobody
that.
knows. I also think though, like it's very interesting that the drivers
well.
are still with them.
Hang on,
Yeah.
sorry. That Lewis posted that shirtless pic the other day. The Alpine people are the people. That's the
Yeah.
correlation.
There you go.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard Ocon's radio at the end, but he's like, we're gonna get this. Like, I have complete faith in you. And I was like, wow, the French really stand by each other.
No, they were both like
Have you seen how
no,
they
it's fine.
protest?
Yeah.
Like, if it gets any worse, they will burn up.
But
You're
like,
lighting
I
yourself
like
on fire
Alpine
inside
really
the
doesn't
car.
have anybody else to quit.
Also,
Like Haas has more people in it than Alpine.
off topic, but like, what isn't? But the moves that Fred Vasseur is making, that man has got something in his back pocket. Like,
Yeah. What?
he's been making
He knows
crazy
No
something
comment.
you don't know.
moves. Like, maybe I reckon he's got the 2026 specs ready to go in the Ferrari garage. There's been a
Well,
Spygate 2.0.
Okay, if we're
or
talking about
something.
2026, does anybody realize that Audi has a car? They've built a car already. Like fully, they're
sure
like, yeah,
do.
we're ready.
And I am sad.
Boys, you've got a year. You got 2 years to be honest.
They're like, no, we're good.
It's like, nope, we have our car.
Like,
We have our
trust
livery.
us,
We have
we're
our
good.
car.
They're like,
There's new
Yeah.
regulation changes. We don't care. we're
Oscar
good.
Piastri, World Drivers Champion 2026.
Real.
I think
Okay.
Audi is like, we have a car, it's fine. Also, we're gonna get Mick and Seb, so it doesn't fucking matter what our car does.
I think also qualifying, people were driving for their lives because they are driving. Like literally, so many people's contracts are done. They're
Oh my
literally
God, are
driving
they
for their
driving
lives.
to survive?
Surviving the
Get
drive?
out. Get out.
Let me just
Okay,
leave
Gunther.
the call.
Yeah, the only people who can have fun for shits
Lewis,
and gigs
Charles,
is
Max.
Charles, Lewis,
And-
the McLaren boys.
And the McLaren.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can we also talk about McLaren?
Yes.
Oh,
Please.
yes.
I'm not a McLaren girly, but like
They
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 have come a
did-
long way in 12 months.
they
they did
they-
it.
Yeah.
they built a car
I-
that's ready in the first
I'm
in
excited
the
to
first
see what
race.
they do in Saudi. even though-
Yes.
because I don't think there's any car other than obviously Red Bull that Bahrain is good for. Like the tire deg is
Well-
so bad. It's so windy. The temperature fluctuates so much. Like I think all
That
cars are bad in
was-
Bahrain.
The fact that
Something-
Red Bull, they were still saying, we're struggling. I'm like, boy, you were 28 seconds ahead. Struggling. You
Max
could
was like,
literally go
"Everything
buy
is
some
miles
food
off."
and come back. And you would still be 20 seconds ahead. Let's be real.
As for McLaren though, like they kept saying how like Bahrain isn't their track
Mhm.
and whatever. They do that far too often. And
Yeah.
I think that like honestly going into this
yeah.
season, hopefully this first race is like some type of like wake up call for them
Confidence
that like
boost, yeah.
yeah, like it
I
was
think-
they went well. Like their
Yeah.
mentality is too
Negative.
pessimistic.
So real.
and
So
little
real of that
smarter.
team, though, to be
Well,
honest.
also-
I mean like same, but
Also,
But I
if
think-
Bahrain isn't the track for them, I'm excited to see a race that is
Exactly.
their
I
track.
I think the
because if they're
track
doing that well,
I think the track
Bro,
that is going
Suzuka.
to like literally challenge everyone is Monaco, and that is what I'm excited to see because Monaco's so tight and curvy that
I might
What is-
miss Monaco,
like
Mm.
me.
and I'm very upset about it.
I'm very excited to see because like even last year Red Bull was like, yeah, we were struggling.
I'm excited for Suzuka, so
Yes. Yeah.
I'm excited for
also
Silverstone.
I'm pretty sure
I'm
I'm pretty sure that
I'm excited for
excited
Miami.
for Miami.
In Miami.
I was
think
gonna
also
say
it's gonna
I'm
be
pretty
very
sure
interesting. It's gonna be interesting to see Montreal.
Mm.
I'm
It's
It's
actually
a boring track, but I'm excited to see it.
I actually am really excited for Miami and China for reasons
Mm.
that Zach Brown has said that though around China is when we're really going to see the
That's what I was
McLaren
gonna say, yeah.
upgrades. And so then, we're gonna see it firsthand in Miami as
Have we
well.
always-
And then so
like,
I just
McLaren
So did-
double podium in Miami.
So Suzuka, the upgrades for McLaren, Aston Martin also said it. So did whoever the Visa Cash App freaking team principal person said. Like there's a lot of teams who said Suzuka's gonna be
I think Rosie would like
upgrade.
to speak.
Yeah, Rosie would like to speak.
I didn't even notice it. With her hand raised.
Also, I'm
Like-
really excited to see Spa because that's Oscar's favorite track. And last year, I know we're all Carlos fans here, but last year Carlos did rip a big hole in Oscar's car.
Do you guys think that the Carlos Oscar beef will continue this year, or do you think
I
that Carlos
put that
has
as one
bigger
of my
Rosie, I don't know how to
I-
unmute you.
I don't know.
I think the beef will deepen between fans of them.
Yeah,
more,
I think
and
they're
they'll,
okay.
They'll read into
I
their
actually think that
I just think
Oscar
it's
and
really
Carlos-
funny.
I just think Oscar and
been
Carlos
hilarious.
are fine.
like playing
No, I
into
do-
it, honestly.
I really don't think they
I
have
think they have
the
like a
biggest beef in the world.
I think they have like
That
a rivalry on
amazing
track.
role.
this morning.
I think they're like rivals on track, but I actually think they're absolutely fine. And I think it's
Carlos and
actually really kind of
Oscar are homies in law.
but I think also like it's gonna be very interesting to see because I think if Mercedes and Ferrari actually do what people are predicting in their like kind of level playing field, it's gonna be very interesting to see Hamilton versus Sainz because Sainz is driving for his life and that's who took his seat. And they were like, oh, there's no bad blood between us, but like
We all saw that drive.
At the end of the day, it's every man for himself.
As
Yeah.
1681 nation president, yeah. If Ferrari and sorry, I need to stop saying yeah in such a British accent. But
you are British.
if Ferrari and McLaren are on the same level, I'm going to see Charles versus Oscar.
Yeah.
That is going to be good.
Well, Charles can't
But
figure
when it
his
comes
car
down
out.
to it, which one are you rooting for, Rosie?
Ooh.
You got her on that one. You got her on that one.
Well, I feel like Charles got me into F1, but I've found Oscar and I feel like I need to protect him. but also
So that is so me with with the teammates swap
With the
like,
Logan.
and then with
I
Logan.
need.
Look, we need to get back to the
Okay.
race, everybody.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't
So
really.
I want to talk about the race. I'm just gonna go straight into it.
Okay.
Bottas's pit stop, 52.44.
And it always seems to happen to him.
Yeah, this
Poor
poor
Bottas.
man.
Like this guy.
I will say though, like I was watching and they were like, something's going on with the sour. Something's going on. I was like, yeah, like something's going on. Like they can't get like it out of the jack or whatever. And then literally I was watching the time and I was like, oh my gosh, like something
I was
is
like, just
actually
retire.
going.
Just
And like
I
it was
actually thought they were gonna
smoking.
retire. I thought
Like-
there was gonna be a retire for sure. Because I was like, there's no way they're gonna be able to get this in a decent amount of time. Like,
Yeah.
like I actually thought Logan was gonna be in front of
It
him.
kind of gave me hope for Logan, but I was just like,
Yeah,
But
if
I
was
think
okay.
also it
Bottas,
proved
no problem. I'd be burning that fucking garage to the ground.
I think it
Jumping
also
out of
though,
the car.
like
"You want me to help?"
I think it proved the maturity level of Bottas a little bit because he didn't really say anything. He just waited and he continued to drive. Like he's like, okay, this is my job. Some things go wrong. Let's just drive. Let's just do the best we can. And like he did very well at recovering.
I want to say him and Logan both actually did really
Yeah.
well at recovering, because there was a
Yeah.
time where Logan was plus 1 minute,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, and he got it down to
but that's also
I
the
don't
fact
even
that
know.
Bottas was so far back as well.
Yeah.
So it
Yes,
did cut the
yes.
time. But
But I still think
they
in
drove.
retrospect
They finished.
they did really well for
Can
what
we
they got handed to
also
them.
talk? So like we're talking about Logan, but can we also talk about Alex's literal steering
Car
wheel saying
too
car too
hot.
hot,
Too
and
hot.
he didn't
No, we
give
can't.
up.
Actually, no, we can't.
The fact that
Yeah.
it was so hot
Who
that he
let
couldn't
bro
change
cook?
anything on the steering wheel,
The
Yeah.
car
and he was
cooked,
just like,
actually, 'cause it was
He's
too
like, I
hot.
can't do that.
And
He's
like
I
he
can't.
he stayed
yeah,
like with his position. Like he didn't really lose that many
Yeah.
positions with a car that was overheating,
that
which
he
is
couldn't do anything with.
crazy.
Alex
Well,
my
and
goat.
his steering wheel was like stopped, like the screen wouldn't change to what he needed
Mhm.
it to.
Yeah.
Like they really need to figure out this new steering wheel.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which like I understand it's the first race and they'll figure it out, but like I feel like Logan's steering wheel changing the brake percentage and like the brake pressure
That's
by
really
itself,
dangerous.
Alex not being able to switch gears or anything, like that's really dangerous, not
Like,
just for
thank
them, but for
God it
everybody else on
happened.
the track.
Thank God
Like,
it
I'm
happened
glad
in
Logan had
Bahrain
a
in
space
a
to
corner
stop.
he was alone. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Imagine
Yes.
next week in Jeddah. What if that would have happened?
Yeah,
Like
like
he would have
the
been
thing is it might
3 feet
happen.
into the
That's
wall.
terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't speak that to existence. I rebuke that. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I think
That's
with
like really,
these
it's
two
actually
races
very
being
scary.
with these
Who
two
do we
races being
think is
so
going to be
close.
the first DNF of the season?
As
Alpine.
per my prediction, I said one of the big three teams. So
I think it's gonna be Alpine.
I said K-Mag or Nico, because I was not expecting the Alpine to be lower than a Haas when I
I
did
think
this.
Haas is cooking.
So
it's that
now
Chipotle
that
sponsorship.
I think it'll be
I
an
think
They
Alpine.
really put the
Alpine.
beans in.
I think it's gonna be Alpine.
It's gonna be both of them.
And I think it's gonna be they're gonna be next to each other on the grid, and one of them's gonna get hit, and they're just gonna hit each other. It's gonna be like Australia all over again.
Good luck
Yeah.
to Oscar.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it might be, as much as it pains me to say it, from Ferrari's performance last year,
Yes.
it may be a Ferrari. And
Yay, my prediction.
I think it's gonna be Charles.
if there is a
If it's Ferrari.
formation lap, if there is a formation lap failure on the hydraulics of Charles' car, I swear to God, I'm going to be in Maranello myself
You're coming in with a hammer.
with a. And
Your driver hammer, and she's like, I'm ready.
Let's get to work.
I'm gonna get
I will
Max
say one of
Verstappen
my
on the
predictions was
fucking
the
phone
Ferrari
and be
engine
like,
fire.
listen,
So
listen, you need a Spygate 2.0. You need to give Charles those fucking car prints. Next.
I think it's gonna be also very interesting to see Ferrari, because Ferrari in winter testing was like, yeah, we have a car made for a driver, one of our drivers. And we all knew it was Charles because they wouldn't build a car for somebody who's leaving the next season. Like it's
Yeah.
obviously for Charles. And Charles is like, I have brake issues. I can't drive. Like it's just going
Carlos
right to the
figured
right.
it out.
And Carlos had the same issues.
the
He
same
has said in
issues.
interviews he's had the same issues. He
But-
just figured it out because he's never had a car that
I
was
think-
really made for him.
Carlos's
also, I
like
think-
racecraft is one of the best on the grid right now,
Yeah.
though, honestly. And so he can work with what he's got,
And
even
he's
if the car
really
isn't made for him.
and that
Yeah.
really got shown in Singapore 2023. Like
Thank
I
you.
know a
Mhm.
lot of people try to
It's on
discredit
purpose.
it being one of the best races just because it was the only non-Red Bull win.
every lap.
But like they that's all they see. All they see is a non-Red
Yeah.
Bull win. They don't see what actually went down for him to have been able to
Yeah.
do that, because there was a fight for
Also-
first between those three, and it could have been either one of them.
Can I just say that Monza 23 should have been Carlos's? And the whole reason it wasn't, the whole reason why it wasn't is because Ferrari was like, let's let him race. And then
Yeah.
literally this freaking race, they were like, yeah, let's let him race again. And Carlos passed him, and everyone's like, that's not allowed. Like, what happened to team orders? And I'm like, what happened to Monza? He was in the front, and Charles was literally making him drive to the maximum power he could. So he lost his tires.
Mhm.
Like, I think Ferrari is like literally exploding from within, and it's going to be very interesting to see because Carlos is now driving for a seat, so he's not going to take team orders. And when Lewis gets into Ferrari, I don't think Lewis has the capability of being a second driver, and neither does
Mm.
Charles.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Speaking
okay.
of-
I will say, as the resident Ferrari fan in the room, the Charles and Lewis, I am excited, but it is making me very nervous
Mhm.
because realistically, Ferrari would chop their own hands off before they put Charles second driver.
Yeah.
Because they put him, he was first against Sebastian Vettel. He's not going to be second to Lewis
Okay, I would just
Hamilton.
like to time out. Vettel
No, I love
was
Seb.
first. Vettel was first, and then Charles went in and was like, I'm going to be the next Michael Schumacher. You better put me first. And Ferrari went, okay.
They love Charles. But Lewis also loves Charles, so it's going to be difficult.
I think it's also going to be very interesting to see Charles fending for himself for the first time ever, because Seb was like, okay, I'm the second driver. I guess I'll be the defending driver. And
Mhm.
Carlos kind of knew, I'm never going to beat Charles. I'll be the defending driver. And now Carlos is like, you are going to have to defend for yourself. And Charles
Yeah.
doesn't know how to defend himself.
They were fighting a lot on track during the race, and I feel like it's gonna just get worse throughout the
It's
season.
going to be
and
Mercedes.
There's gonna
but
be a
worse.
Ferrari on Ferrari hate
It
crime.
can't be
done.
Mercedes
Like,
because they didn't like each other anyway.
Okay.
Real.
But
gonna
I
die
will
in
say
cup.
though, like my
Come on.
predictions, I had a whole list of 2024 predictions. 4 of them have come true right now, and I put Alonso
Same.
retirement.
Wait, let me
I
get
did
mine
too,
up.
though.
I put,
Me and Mox are like on the same wavelength. We
I
had like
think-
4 of the same things that already
which is
happened.
really scary to me because I'm like, okay, some of these predictions are like really scary.
No, same.
Um,
I have a whole notes app, just like so many predictions.
I have Daniel Ricciardo and Red Bull.
I
Everyone
said
has
Carlos
that.
Sainz to Red Bull.
I have Carlos to Mercedes actually.
I have 4. Sorry, 4 of them are the same, and it's Oscar Piastri race win.
I have Lawson gets a seat.
I
I
want
do
him
too.
to.
I-
I'm
I-
so
Please.
No, I
Interested,
definitely
like,
he
patiently
deserves
waiting
one
for him to get a seat.
100%.
I think
And
he's gonna take Daniel's seat when Daniel goes to Red Bull.
I
Hot
will say,
take.
can we-
Wait, I
can
have
we
a hot
go-
take.
can we-
Out.
I think Checo actually deserves a seat, and I think he can prove himself in a team that actually cares about him,
Yeah,
which is why I think he should go to Audi.
I
Hmm.
actually agree. I've got
That's a crazy
Checo
statement.
willingly resigns, and then there'll be like a tell-all on how Helmut and like Red Bull as a whole like treated Checo and like the underlying remarks.
And I
But
think,
I
I
put
think
that-
it. Sorry.
Can't be that.
I was just gonna say that I put that Checo, I think, will either like announce his leave himself from Red Bull or announce like his new signing like halfway through the season. I don't think it'll
I think
take a whole season.
I think silly season is going to be crazy, and I think silly season has already started, but I think after Silverstone it's really going to get crazy, and I think Mercedes is going to announce, this sounds insane, but I think Mercedes is going to announce Seb.
But why was he keeping his? Why was he going to get his medical checkup to keep his?
Yeah,
racing
he's keeping
license?
his racing license. Toto
Because
has
you can
mentioned
do
Seb
so
in
much
almost
with a
every
racing
other.
license.
Seb has been brought up by Toto, not by the interviewers, like 5 times.
Yeah, total unprompted will be like, well, Sebastian Vettel, and everyone's like,
Like,
What
good for
if,
him.
right? Well, because there's no way Gasly and Ocon are going to want to resign to Alpine, right?
they
What
don't have
if
anything to prove,
nobody
though.
resigns to Alpine?
We all
What if-
thought Haas
9
would be bought out
teams.
by Andretti. Nah, Alpine's gonna get bought out by
Alpine.
Andretti.
Oh. Andretti's like,
That's crazy.
I did put a prediction that maybe like Ocon won't get re-signed. Like in general.
Don't say
Like
that.
at all.
I think if anybody is losing their seat and not getting a seat is Checo, and I don't think it's deserved. But he's in a rocket ship, and he hasn't really proved that he can drive a rocket ship. So if he's going to a team, it's going to be a worse car. And there's not really a proof within the last 3 years that he can drive a worse car than Red Bull. And
I think
it's not on him. Like, that's on Red Bull because Red Bull didn't make a car for him. And like, they're like, good luck. Good luck. But
I think he's a midfield driver rather than like a top 4.
The problem with Checo though is like obviously the car's built around Max, like duh. And he has like a lot of like he loves the weight in the nose, and that's not a style for everybody. But if Checo was a bit better of a driver, he would be able to adapt to that, and he's not showing that he can. So if they get
you should
someone
put
in
him
there
in
who
the Alpine.
can adapt
It's
to
heavy
it,
everywhere.
You know who can adapt?
real.
Carlos.
Carlos Sainz.
I actually
We've
think
seen it in Ferrari.
Everyone's joking like Carlos is going to get the Red Bull seat. Carlos to Red Bull. I actually think it could happen.
That's
could
my
happen.
that was my number one like crazy prediction. I really see him moving to
Well,
Red Bull.
it totally
But
could,
God knows how
because-
long the term would be though.
The only thing that might not get Carlos the seat is if Daniel proves himself.
Mm-hmm.
And Daniel could very easily prove himself because going back to the race, Yuki showed he was not ready for a Red Bull seat.
Mm-hmm.
Literally all that V-Carb asked Yuki to do, I'm not calling them V-Carb, all that AlphaTauri asked Yuki to do was
AlphaTauri.
switch. And he was like, no.
And
If
it
he
wasn't
did it
for
a
the
lap
points, it
quicker
wasn't
than he
anything.
did, Daniel could have gotten
He did it
better
2 laps
positions.
behind.
I
Yeah.
would like to talk about this because I have tweets.
Yes,
Like,
and
bring
can
it
I
up,
just
bring it up.
Insider-
wait, before the tweet, can I also say though, I think everyone's like, oh, like Daniel, he shouldn't have been asking. First of all, that's a team thing. That is not
Yeah.
a Daniel thing. Second of
Exactly.
all, they looked at the data, and on
Daniel
the
said he
new
had more
set of
pace.
tires, Daniel had more pace. And if
Yeah.
when Yuki was told team orders and he was like, okay, let him by, he would have passed K-Mag. But because Yuki was like, no, Yuki was like, this guy's slow. And I'm like, yes, he's slow because you literally just didn't listen.
And they
I
nullified the
think-
effect of his tires because it was
I
two
think-
2 laps too late.
Yeah, I think Yuki has the right to say, no, I'm not doing that if he has proof that he has pace. But he
Mhm.
didn't really have a proof. Like,
Yes.
they're the same. They had the same. Like,
Mhm.
when Daniel Ricciardo was at McLaren and they were like, Lando's faster than you, go past him, like, let him pass. Daniel did it. Immediately, he did
Mhm.
it. And he's like, I'm not happy with it, but like, well, I'll do it because Lando's faster and it's for the team. Like, Yuki is not a team player yet.
Well, not
Which is
only
what I
that,
think
Also, it
V-Carb
screws
is-
Yuki over as
Yeah.
well.
Well, not only that, this was a pre-planned thing. This was a pre-planned strategy.
Yeah.
Daniel has said that they
Mhm.
talked about this before the race. So he knew it was coming, and I get, maybe to him it was a really bad time, but this is where my tweets are coming in. Daniel was lapping anywhere from 5 to 7 tenths faster.
Did you get this
than-
from Meredith?
Yes.
Love her.
Shout out.
He had
Shout out,
a
Meredith.
5-second gap behind him. So when he caught the pack, and he backed off Yuki once in DRS, and he waited for the instruction because
Yeah.
he knew it
Mhm.
was coming, and that's what he was told to do. And
Mhm.
so he knew that it was coming because Max was approaching, and Daniel was held for 2 laps.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I
and
also think. Sorry,
Go ahead.
continue.
I was gonna say, like, once he was finally let through, a blue flag came for Max. So like
Yeah.
it was kind of it was a really bad timing, but it's because Yuki was
Of the
arguing about
lineup.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think though the way that Daniel handled it was not the most mature. When he went on live television, he's like, I'm not going to say anything. It was just a bit of immaturity. That's just Yuki. Like, I think that was very immature of him to say. Whereas
Mhm.
Yuki was like, I'm not happy about it, but it's team orders and we'll talk about it
We'll talk in the
at the,
Yeah.
at the
debrief.
team.
Yeah.
Like,
Yep.
I think that showed a level of maturity that Daniel Ricciardo didn't have. I understand that Yuki was an hour after the race and Daniel was immediately after the race.
Mhm.
I understand that pressures were higher right after
Mhm.
the race. You still have adrenaline. You're still like kind of calming down. You don't really think about what you're saying. But I think it was immature. But I also think at the end of the race where Yuki locked up, spun out, and almost hit Daniel Ricciardo just showed if you put him in a Red Bull seat, he will hit somebody.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
He will
also,
hit somebody
like,
out of anger.
him
Yeah.
locking up isn't necessarily his fault as well. But also, if Yuki had said like what Daniel had said, then there'd be like this whole outrage all over Twitter and everything, being like, how dare he, blah, blah, blah. So young, so childish. Because it's Daniel, it's not
Mhm.
facing as much backlash.
Daniel, I'm seeing a lot of backlash.
I'm
No,
seeing
I am too.
backlash, but not as much as I think would happen if Yuki had said it.
But I'm seeing a lot of like, and you want this guy in Red Bull, like, and I'm like, yeah, I do, because if it was vice versa, Daniel has proved, okay, I'll do it, and
Mhm.
not try to hit his teammate when he's coming back in after locking up.
Yeah.
Like,
See,
I think
more
Yuki,
Daniel hate than like any other driver
Yeah.
these days.
Mhm.
yeah, it's kind of ridiculous.
Oh,
Me
but
getting
that's
blocked
there's
for like
crazy.
3 people because I like
but like
Daniel.
there is
Literally.
certain things that like I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Like, why are you saying that?
Mhm.
Like, what is going on? And like I think a lot of Daniel fans are like, we can't call him out at all. Like, we're his fans. We can't like
Like,
I'm
no,
like,
they're
no,
professional athletes.
they
Like,
don't know you. They're not your best
yeah.
friend.
If I have another DNS or disqualification or a formation lap failure or a burst
I
lap
will say
failure
Charles is
from
worst.
Ferrari, but they're gonna wish I was never born.
I will say Charles has the luck of like the worst person in the world. Like he has no luck.
What did he
Like-
do in his past life?
Like, yeah,
Truly.
what did he do to somebody? Like somebody put a hex on him. Like this poor man cannot catch a break.
Oh.
He pissed off Enzo Ferrari in a past life.
Yeah,
I loved all of the new camera angles we got.
me too.
Like, can we
I'm
talk
so
about
glad
them?
Charles iCam is back.
Like
I
the
also
little,
will
like
say,
the nose camera, the pit
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
Like,
I will also say, everybody says the intros are boring. I like them.
I like them.
I think
They're
last
not-
year's was so fun that it looked bad
Last
in
year was
comparison,
so
Yeah.
fun, but like if
I
you
think
look at
if we got last year's graphics with this year's poses,
it
I
would
feel
be
like it would be
fine.
better.
Oh,
But
and that, okay, go ahead.
I also think I liked the fact you could see their faces.
They're also far away.
Yeah, that's my only thing. It's like come closer.
Not
like,
Fernando.
come to the
Fernando
side.
is
see you.
Fernando's
Fernando's
this
is up
close.
here.
I'm like,
But
and
also, my
everyone's so
jump
serious, and
scare.
Checo is poor Checo is just. I'm like this poor man.
Another new thing they've added to the post race, I guess, but the graphics they show for the podium, they
Yeah.
don't just show like the
Mm.
pure podium, like them walking up. There's
Yeah.
like that little
That was cool. I
graphic.
liked
I'm like,
Talk about,
hey,
like,
what is that?
Okay,
I
I
was
don't
like,
know if anybody's been to a professional soccer game,
No.
but talk about a freaking graphic, a score going graphic. Carlos going, that's literally
Yeah.
Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich's game. Somebody scores. they're like,
Relax. Beep, beep. That's yapping too far.
what did I? Oh, can we talk about how McLaren switched their power unit already?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Actually, no, because
only-
I
I
was-
know.
No, we can't.
Like we are. I'm not surprised that McLaren needed to do that. I was just expecting it like race 3 or 4, not race 1.
Race
No,
one,
I have a
right
question.
before
Before.
it.
Yeah.
Was that only
Yeah,
on?
before
Was that only on Lando's car?
Yeah.
Or was it
Yes.
both? Oh, okay.
Yeah, Oscar hasn't.
Rosie's like,
figured anything out.
good. Rosie,
She's like,
Rosie's
"Oh, I'm fine."
Oscar's fine.
I was like,
Like everyone was like, what? They're doing what? I'm like, you do know, like they're not known for being the best starting
no.
team. That sounds
oh,
really
wait, are we
bad,
new
but
here?
like
Which, keeping
they
that in mind,
improve
though,
with
like
the
their start so far,
Yeah.
if
Really
they
good.
never start well, like
yeah, this is a pretty good
Yeah.
start. I will just say power unit on race 1 is crazy.
That's
Yeah.
wild.
Don't they
Before
only get
race 1.
3?
Lando's
I think-
capped. Lando's done.
Yeah, Lando's
He
capped.
can't change again without a penalty. Yeah,
Yeah.
he'd have to
This
take
poor
a grid
man.
penalty. Yeah.
Lando, I'm so sorry. you are gonna have to take the penalty.
So I
I
hope
don't have much
I
faith in
hope it's a
McLaren.
time where he qualifies pole and the grid
Yeah.
penalty is like P5 or something.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that's what I'm
Guys,
hoping. This is breaking. Just a tweet came up. Rumors are spreading in the paddock that Red Bull will introduce a major upgrade in Imola that promises to be a big step forward. When asked about this, Helmut Marko simply grinned tellingly, "Let's see."
Yeah, it's a new team
They
principle.
don't need any upgrades.
First of
Yeah.
all,
Well,
they
it
need to
should
be
be-
updated.
the upgrade Red Bull
should do
need.
the Aston Martin upgrade where it actually made the car worse.
The
You do
upgrade
it.
that
Pull-
Red
pull
Bull
one of those.
needs is to get rid of Marco and Horner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring back Seb.
Bring back Seb.
Fork found
Sorry,
attention.
I walked right into that one. You guys walked right into that one.
We fully
We're
pivoted.
doing
Also,
it.
can I just tell you, my podium, I got 2 out of 3.
Oh, I don't remember what I even
I
did for
got
mine.
I
I
had
got
Max.
1.
I got 2 out of 3.
I got 2 out of 3 as well.
I had Max,
What did I say?
Fernando, Carlos. I had so much
I
faith
had
in that
Max,
Aston
Charles,
Martin.
Carlos.
I had
I love
Max.
Poor
Charles,
Checo.
Carlos.
He's doing fine.
Poor Checo. None of us have faith in
He's
this
fine.
man.
He's fine.
That's
This is crazy, but I have a note that just says, "Why is every car hot?"
Like temperature or
Yeah,
Appearance or temperature?
No, temperature. Because Mercedes,
I was like,
George was like, "What's wrong?" And they're like, "Yeah, your engine's too hot." Alex
makes you
had
more
an engine too
which
hot.
is hilarious.
Carlos
because
and Charles
Bahrain was
had.
colder than it
Yeah.
ever usually is.
I was like, "What is going on?" Like, what? They all tried to figure out the Red
When
Bull
they all had to
rocket ship
jump on to
engine,
cool down the Alpine.
the Red
Can
Bull
we
mechanic
talk
side
about
quest.
how good Sauber looks on track with the
Real.
green?
Yeah,
Real.
sick.
My livery
Yes.
ranking, I think they're 3 or 4.
Yeah.
That
I
makes
have
it
them
a
pretty
little
high.
crazy.
I
I
have them pretty
have
high, but
them
not that high.
I
Second
really
to
like it.
last.
I really like it.
No,
I
one
don't
thing
like their
that I
suits, but I
saw,
like the car.
Yeah,
Yeah.
same.
I'm reverse. I like the suits more than I like the car. But one thing I saw is that I sent it to you, Mox. The shade of green is the green screen green. So you can just edit whatever you want onto
Is
the
that
car.
why they're blank
And
on
it's
That's
so
gonna be
funny.
dangerous.
on app?
It's
No, that's because
dangerous.
of stake and like
Yeah.
the sponsorship issue.
Yeah.
It's
Also,
Speaking
horrible.
of
like-
colors, why is the McLaren suit different than the McLaren hat?
Let's talk about that McLaren hat.
No,
That McLaren
actually,
hat
that's not.
makes
ugly
it
as
look like
shit.
somebody just took like a freaking pan.
It looks like
and
a visor.
Smacked
Yeah, it
him,
looks
bro.
like a visor.
I always
Like,
think it's a visor.
so bad. I also think also whoever did the Visa Cash App
That's
livery
I
needs
like the
they
Oh.
need a raise.
Yeah.
That is
Can
so
I say
Toro
something
Rosso.
that might get me kicked out?
Yeah, I saw your
Somebody
ranking.
get ready. Somebody get ready. Kick her out.
I saw your
Well,
ranking.
You saw my ranking.
Yeah,
Yes.
but
What's
I
your
will say
controversial take, Megan?
she doesn't like the Toro Rosso.
I
Oh.
ranked the
sugar-free
RB
Red
last.
I mean, that's actually fair though. Like, I'm gonna be
Sugar-free
honest. Like, that's not like the most controversial thing in the world because I feel like
I know, but you all like it so much. that
I just
was
like it because it reminds me of Toro Rosso, even though
I
I
No,
just
wasn't
I
a
like
fan
it.
when
has
Toro
I like
color.
it because of that.
Yeah.
But like,
I tell you what, I
just
don't get when people are like, "Oh, the Ferrari. I don't like the Ferrari livery. It's awful."
I
like,
don't.
not what I
It's always
expect. What
red.
did you expect? It was
I
gonna
don't
be
like
red.
it.
Red.
They just threw some red paint
I
on there
don't
and
like
call
it.
it a day.
I mean,
Okay.
if a Ferrari was anything but red, I think I would have concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Like,
actually
why are
really
people
liked
surprised?
I liked the idea of a black car with red accents. I think that would be
Mm.
not carbon fiber black, but like painted black.
Like matte black.
Yeah. With like sparkly red.
Sexy.
Okay, I will say the
That
red
could be a
car.
Vegas livery.
I understand why Ferrari is red. However, the reason why on my livery ranking it's so low is because it's just I hate the yellow.
Yeah, I don't like the yellow.
Why do we have to have yellow in
It's
everything?
very McDonald's. Like, I'm not here for
I'm
it.
not.
You
It
calling
doesn't
me
look good on
clown
track. It doesn't look good on the car. Like it just doesn't look good.
I do enjoy their names on the back of their suits, only
Yeah.
so that
I do. I really like
Ferrari
that.
I
sounds
do
like
not
the
like the back
wrong
of their
person.
fireproof. The
No,
back
the
of their
fireproof-
fireproof
what
is
looks
that?
When
disgusting.
I do my suit ranking, I'm not including the fireproofs. I would like
No.
to point that out.
Also,
Yeah,
what
if we're
happened?
including the fireproofs, Williams is going up for
Have we
me.
talked about the bait and switch with McLaren? White fireproofs.
Okay, so
because
no,
it's
it's because
hot.
it was hot.
Yeah.
The black was. it
I've
was
already-
too
But the
hot.
I've
black
told you this.
collar on the
Yeah.
white, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
weird.
mm-mm.
But
Yeah, but I think
wanna
that's just
know-
because monster.
I'm Reagan. This is controversial for me to say to you because I know you rate it really high. I hate the McLaren livery. It
That's
looks like it's
crazy.
part of Minecraft.
Okay.
I like Minecraft.
But the steak livery, that's all
Albert looks
boxy?
like what?
I like the steak. I don't know
That is
why.
literally
Okay,
That literally
I
is
think
Minecraft
Minecraft
boxes.
colors.
I think
First
Mox's
of all,
opinions are
that's a
just out of this
highlighter
world.
pack. Leave them alone.
Not a highlighter pack.
They go together.
Okay, wait,
Do
what
not
don't you like about the
separate.
McLaren livery?
I just don't. I don't know. It looks like it belongs in Microsoft Word or like Microsoft Office.
Okay,
It
I
doesn't
do
belong
have
on a
faith.
car.
I'm a sucker for like black cars though. Like if you give me a black
Me
car with like
too, but
touches
like
of other color.
not with orange. What in the jack-o'-lantern?
Listen,
So I just don't like
Okay.
McLaren's colors, but like
Okay. But the chrome like numbers,
I
like
did,
I don't like
I
them.
liked the light blue.
I don't
I'll see myself. I'm gonna
livery,
see
that
myself
Monaco
out.
livery.
Sorry.
Hold on. The
Absolutely
McLaren
not.
Chrome numbers, I'm not a fan of the font that they used for
No.
the numbers.
Okay.
I do
yes.
like the idea of Chrome and on the numbers.
Yeah.
I just am not a fan of that font.
Also, like
No.
this
Yeah,
is
that's
Why
not.
isn't there chrome on the suits? I don't
Yeah.
understand.
This
Yeah.
is also
make
not
the
the team
numbers
Oh
on
problem.
yeah,
the
This
make
is
a
chrome.
reflective fabric on the suit. Sure.
this is not a team problem. This is a driver issue. But that neon, whatever it is, with the orange, I'm having a migraine looking at it.
I
There's
love the
so
way
many
Lando's
bright-
helmet looks in the
Which
car,
is this?
honestly.
I'm so sorry. Which is another
Seriously.
reason why I really like the Kick Sauber look, because both of them went for the subtle helmet because they're so bright. I will also say Valtteri Bottas, your helmet slays. Northern
His
Lights
helmet's so good.
But the thing is
slay.
that's literally part of like Lando's thing. So like if he
I
didn't
know.
have it, it would be kind of not
I know.
him. So
I think it doesn't look
It's
that
just
bad.
it's a
on track.
bad
I
orange.
literally
Yeah.
wrote a note during the race that I love how Lando's helmet looked in the car.
Yeah.
I
think it looks
when I
cool.
can't see the suit, I like his helmet. The
Yeah,
suit with the
that's fair.
helmet, I don't like.
That's fair. Yes.
I
I
really
like
enjoy
actually everyone's
how
helmet.
both Oscar and Lando include neon yellow because they both their karting helmets were neon yellow.
All right, to wind down this episode, we've run out of time, but it's been great speaking with you guys. Glad to introduce you to all of us now that you kind of know sort of where we stand and a glimpse into our heads with the Formula One 2024 season. That wraps it up. Great episode. We'll see you in Jeddah. Everyone say bye.
Bye.
Bye.